I previously worked at an animal shelter, and it was extremely stressful, poorly managed, and detrimental to my mental health. Yikes.
How do you stop, Allie, grumpy coworkers from dragging your mood down?
Do I have the thing for you?
Okay, tell me what. What do you have? In today's day and age, trying to pick a school, you should really look at cost, because you do not want to go to a school where it's going to cost you $300,000. Just don't do it. Don't even consider it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Veterinary Roundtable, the podcast where we answer your veterinary-related questions while having some fun along the way. If you enjoyed today's episode or a previous episode, be sure to leave us a review on your podcast provider of choice. And if you have any feedback to offer to improve the Veterinary Roundtable, let us know. All right, I'm Dr. Emily King.
I'm Alan McQuarrie.
And this is the Veterinary Roundtable. And we have Wade with us, as always, here, providing some moral support because we are missing Duckwall and Courtney. This is the episode that you will hear after Thanksgiving. And so we are recording it before Thanksgiving because if we waited until next week to record it, it would be Thanksgiving. You okay over there? Okay. And so I really wanted to do a mailbag episode because they're one of my favorite episodes. And it's a holiday, so we get to pick what we want to do.
I've never done one, so this is my first mailbag.
Okay, first mailbag episode. We'll see if you like it as much as I do. And these questions are pretty, in-depth, so we don't have a ton of them because I thought they were pretty good questions. What did you think?
Yeah, I think they're good.
Okay. All right, so you want to tell everybody about the listener inquiries if they want to send one in?
Yes.
Where it says under...
Oh my gosh.
You're grabbing
I'm
Listen.
You can send in your inquiries through text message. Tap on the episode in your podcast provider. Look at the top where it says send us an inquiry through a text message here and text us. Don't forget to leave your name if you would like us to know who you are. And then we are also taking voice message inquiries as well. So you can send those to the veterinaryroundtable@gmail.com.
Okay, that's awesome. And so thank you, everybody, for always sending in questions. Like I said before, or I've said before, I should say, I love this podcast because I love that it's become a community, and I love that people listen. I love that people write in and tell us stories. I love that they share information. So when we're talking about a particular topic, if they know a resource or know someone that's a lead in that particular topic, they send it over, and we're all just becoming smarter.
It is
and cool. Better. So it's pretty cool.
It is super cool.
I never would have thought it would have grown into this. So it's pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited about it. Okay. I'll read the first one. You want me to do that? Okay. Hey guys, I love listening, laughing, and learning with you while I commute all over the place for school and work. I am 23, was studying elementary education, but switched it after working at a small animal practice. Literally just a front desk position for only a few months. The practice was corporate owned and didn't treat their employees or clients very well. Needless to say, I didn't last long. However, even with that awful taste in my mouth, I knew that was what I wanted to do. Just being near people, taking samples, problem solving, doing complicated surgeries, I loved it. I switched my major to biology, losing all my credits in the process.
That's so sad.
I am now a sophomore and just joined my university's pre-vet med club. I started shadowing all over the place to get my hours up. I've also fostered quite a few dogs from the local shelter, foster failed 2 of them. If I stay on the right track, I will be able to apply to vet schools in the fall of my junior year. I'm very excited, but also nervous. I don't really have any close family or friends in this field. I have so many questions about what schools to apply to. How did you know this was the field you wanted to go into? How to manage your time. I'm currently planning a wedding, so I feel like my head might explode sometimes. Or just any general advice for someone in my stage of life in this process. Thank you so much. I really value everything you guys are doing on and off the podcast. From Kelsey.
It's so nice.
Do you think I said her name right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Kelsey, thank you for the message. And you know what? I mean, wow, you're doing a lot.
Yeah, planning a wedding, woof. At the same time as going to school and all that.
Yeah. And it sounds like you're also working and you're fostering. It's a lot.
That is a lot.
So yeah, okay, so let's go through some of the things that she's got questions about. First of all, what schools to apply to? I would say there was a podcast that we did with the director of admissions for LMU, and we've mentioned this before. You might have already listened to this podcast. Her name's Holly. She did a phenomenal job of talking about the application process and how you should apply to vet schools, and how to kind of go through that application and what things you should consider and not, like things to do, things not to do. And I think also in today's day and age, trying to pick a school, you should really look at cost. Has to be at the top of your thinking process, because you do not want to go to a school where it's going to cost you $300,000. Just don't do it. Don't even consider it. So that pares down quite a bit if you're out of state to certain options. So then you look at those options, and then through VenCast, I think it's called VenCast, I can't remember. You'll send your applications through there. But you have to consider how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, I would think that's pretty important.
It's very important.
You don't want to find a school that you're like head over heels for and then realize how much it costs.
Yeah. Or another example would be, this school really isn't a large animal, and they're known for their large animal research, and a lot of their extra stuff is large animal, then you don't want to go there if you want to do exotics. So keep that in mind as well, because there are certain, especially with this distributed model as an option for the schools. So there's like 10 to 13 distributed model schools coming out, and that you're going to be able to apply for, or can apply, or will apply for. Those are going to have different experiences. Make sure you pay attention to what those are, because that will make a difference as well. Okay. How did you know this was the field you wanted to go into? How did you know, Allie?
Well, it just made me happy. I knew that I liked to work with animals, and it was nice to help the people. I know a lot of people aim their thoughts towards the animals, but you do have to deal with people.
Yes, you deal with people all the time.
You deal with people all the time. So it was nice to make that bond with the client as well as the animal. And so just helping.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, and I think our industry is a customer service-based industry.
Yeah.
I mean, at its heart, that's what it is. So, yes, you're practicing medicine, but our customer service has to be at the top of your thing. And the customer either being the employee or the client. So, for example, you had a really bad experience at the practice that you went to work. That's poor customer service. So, like, you felt it firsthand how that can make a difference. And so you have to be willing to build relationships and get to know people and be a people person, which it sounds like, since you're doing elementary education, you probably are.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, that's cool. For me, I did not even know I was going to go to vet school. I had no idea. I think that the industry provided aspects of a job that were fulfilling to me. So problem solving, working with your hands, kind of not doing the same job every day. So like your job does change each day. It's the same, but it's different, And then being around people. Yeah. Like just helping people, helping people like accomplish something that they're looking to do, so it's like, I want my dog to get over this illness, like, and helping them be able to do that. It's very fulfilling. So, yeah. How did you manage your time when you were in school?
Oof. I was going to school and working a job, and that's hard, but I think setting out different times, definitely when you're talking about planning a wedding as well, like, just make sure, depending on your due dates and stuff for all your stuff, just make sure, like, you're picking a day of the week, maybe, or have a calendar, or something to stay organized, for sure.
I think the thing that helped us at the clinic, when you talk about managing time, I think no matter what you're trying to accomplish, if you can work backwards. So, like, if obviously you know what day you're getting married, right? Yeah. So, like, I mean, if we take that as an example, then you're like, okay, by this date, I need to have this done. And then by this date, I need to have this done. And then by this date, I need to have this done. And so you compartmentalize it into those milestones, like we would do for goals, for example. Yeah, and then it doesn't feel like it's so much.
Right.
It's the same thing as goals, right? So that if you do these milestones, then at the end, you have the end result, which is the day of the wedding. And so I think that, I guess my point in mentioning that is that's a managing your time tool, like, is breaking things up into milestones.
That is really helpful now that you mention that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then it doesn't seem as intimidating because you're like, oh, I have to do all these things. But in reality, you only have 2 things to finish here, 2 things to finish here, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's
and I think the same thing applies for school. If you have a semester anatomy test, then you just work backwards and you just go, by this date, I need to have this part of the system memorized and then this and then this. And so I think it's a great managing time tool. I don't know. There's probably a better way of saying it, but, and then I think you can use that concept of procrastinating on purpose. So like not doing things that you don't need to be doing, put those at the bottom of the list, schedule your priorities, and then get rid of the things, delegate things that you don't need to be doing. And if something doesn't need your full attention right now, it needs to go back up into the funnel so that it comes back through. And then you can decide again, is it something I need to do? No, delegate it to your mom for the wedding or your dad or your groom
in-laws.
Your in-laws. Like, do you actually have to be doing it? And so I think the focus funnel is a great tool as well when you're talking about managing your time.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Is there anything else about managing time? I'm trying to think. Probably anytime you can create a process. I think that we've experienced that at the clinic too, where if you can create a process that saves you time in the future, then you're multiplying your time. And if you're multiplying your time, then you're going to be more efficient in the future. So I'm trying to think of a good example at work. Probably like, like digitalizing like the forms, or like, so you're not recreating the same, you know what I mean? Like, so you have a tool that you use for this particular step in the process, and you don't have to create it every single time.
Like discharge instructions. Instead of typing them out every single time, we have them saved as a template.
Yes.
So then you just fill in.
Things. Exactly. And then you're not, and so then now you've multiplied your time.
Yeah.
So, those are big concepts. You can look more into those types of concepts, but if you look up multiplying your time, you'll find lots of resources on that, or procrastinating on purpose. And then SMART goals are kind of how those are classified, where you build milestones and then into goals or whatever. So great question. Is there anything else we missed on that? How to manage your time?
Just general advice for someone in this stage.
What would you say?
Of life in this process. Well, I didn't go to vet school, but don't forget to have fun, relax, do things for yourself, self-care, because definitely planning a wedding and all that stress, you're going to spiral out at some point if you don't rest and give yourself, because I know definitely if you're super busy and you're like, oh, I have to have all this stuff done, make sure you're resting.
Yes.
In the midst of all that chaos, because if not, I think that'll make it 10 times more stressful.
I think one of the things that impressed me most about you as you went through school and then started working was your discipline. You had very concrete goals that you wanted to accomplish, and you were able to make them happen. So you bought a house.
Oh, yeah, I did.
You were on a technician's salary, and people said, how on earth is she doing that?
Yeah.
You were very disciplined. And so I think, being disciplined and like how you did it, what made you decide to, like, how did you convince yourself to do it that way? Like, how did you do that?
What, like buy a house?
Yes. Like, how did you like make yourself be so like,
Oh, I don't know. Thank you. That was very nice.
Good job, Allie.
I don't know. I think part of it was like I was becoming an adult. I really wanted a dog, which was motivation. My parents wouldn't let me get a dog. I was like, and then like when you're in college, I was already on my own and living that life. So then to come back home, I was like,
like, no,
I really like to be an adult, although that's not super fun. But
I changed my mind.
I don't know. I think it was like I really wanted a dog. It's something that I really wanted, and I wanted to not be at my parents' house, but I also didn't want to rent. So I just had to think of how to make that happen. And
yeah,
I bought the house, and 2 months later, I got a dog.
You did. I love it. It's amazing.
But yeah, I don't know. Just having your mind set to something and just get after it.
And following
through.
Don't
let people tell you can't do something.
Right.
Because that was also a big thing. Because everyone's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I was like, I'm going to do it.
You're going to do it. Yeah.
So you just have to be that supporter for yourself a little bit.
Yeah. I think you were very consistent. So you did little things consistently along the way that then led to the objective.
Little habits.
Yep.
I remember reading a book about habits.
Yep. And so
changing little things can make a big impact.
Yep. And so I think that's really powerful, and nothing's going to happen in this tiny window of time. And that's where discipline comes in. And, there's that saying, discipline equals freedom, so being consistent over time allowed you to then have the freedom to buy the house, get a dog, And so anyway, I think that's from a general advice perspective, I think that's really valuable. So,
yeah.
Okay. Next one. Okay.
Hi, VRT. I recently started working at a specialty clinic that also has a 24-hour or 24/7 ER. I'm a client service rep and honestly am really enjoying it so far. I previously worked at an animal shelter and it was extremely stressful, poorly managed, and detrimental to my mental health. Yikes.
Yep.
My new jobs feels much more manageable. However, some of my coworkers seem very unhappy. I have 2 questions. How do you stop grumpy coworkers from dragging your mood down? I'm having a great time at this job, but I know that constant complaining from coworkers and gossiping about clients is really going to grate on me over time. 2, what is something that I can do as a CSR to support the back of the house? Is there anything at your clinic that receptionists do that makes your life easier? Thanks so much. I love listening to the podcast on my commute, and I've learned a lot, and especially on the guest episodes. P.S. We had a dog poodle mix who came into the ER today who ate 2 cups of grapes. She was very happy to see everyone. Clearly had no regrets. I saw her on the back after they induced vomiting, and she was sitting between towels covered in vomit and half-chewed grapes. That was from Hope.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow, Hope. First of all, I'm so sorry that the experience at the shelter rescue was so crappy.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
This is something that we hear about all the time.
It's a tough environment. There's just a lot of turnover, and it's hard to not, like we were talking about, telling yourself stories. Like, it's so hard not to tell the worst story in a shelter environment or think the worst of someone. You just don't know their stories, but yikes, tough environment.
And they don't have probably the resources to do, the best care, or there could be so many factors. They could be dealing with euthanasias. They could be dealing with, who knows, right? Animals being surrendered, and you're like, why are you're moving, but you don't know the whole story, to your point of making up stories in your head.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's unfortunate. Your existing clinic potentially could become that if you're not careful. So, Okay, so let's break down what she says. Okay, I have so many thoughts. Okay, how do you stop, Allie, grumpy coworkers from dragging your mood down?
Do I have the thing for you?
Okay, tell me what. What do you have?
One of my leadership books this year was How to Work with Complicated People by Ryan Leake. Have you read that?
No, but I'm going to now that you've read a book I haven't read.
Read. I audiobooked it. The guy that wrote it, the author, he does the audiobook, so it's I didn't actually read the copy, but it's a good book, and he has some really good points that he points out. I actually brought my notes that I wrote on the book.
Okay. So what Allie is doing here is an example of leading by leading yourself first. So you can't lead other people until you learn how to lead yourself. And the only way you learn how to be a leader is to read and to study and to consume information that's going to make you better at leading. So the first person you ever have to lead is yourself. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Okay, so this book, there was a lot of information, so I won't dive super deep into it. But first, you have to understand the person. It's hard, but you have to understand the person. You can't just write them off or cancel them, because that's not healthy. It's not gonna work. You can't change them or do manipulation, because that doesn't ever work either. That doesn't win anyone over. And you can't avoid them, because that doesn't always work either, because it could be someone you're constantly working next to. So you have to understand them, which can be hard. So you have to practice active listening, ask questions to understand people, get to know people. So little small talk may be in your favor to get to know the actual person, because then you bond with them, and maybe they're just being misinterpreted. But also he talks about everyone is complicated to someone. And I was like, oof. I was like, I'm a complicated person to someone.
Oh my gosh, so am I. When you said that, I was like,
Yes.
oh no.
Like, yeah, I feel like you're such an easygoing person, but you're a complicated person to someone.
Okay.
And so they're everywhere. So you just have to get better about working with complicated people. So yeah, I don't want to go super far into it, but you have to learn how your brain reacts to the attacks of certain people. Gosh, there's just so many notes in here, but you should read that book.
Okay.
It is
Tell them
great.
the name of the book again.
How to Work with Complicated People by Ryan Leakes.
By Ryan Leakes. Okay. So that's going to be huge, Hope, to check that book out because it will give you, it sounds like, true strategies.
Yes.
I think, I always, lived by the saying, like, no one's allowed to steal your happiness, and so that's important. But that you can only tell yourself that so many times as people are coming in and they're dragging the mood down, right?
Yeah.
So, anytime that, we use Crucial Conversations as an example of,
that was another book. Yeah.
Yeah, as a way of being able to communicate with people who are dragging your mood down. So, because that's a crucial conversation, because you have a shared purpose, which is taking care of clients, saving animals' lives, right? Everybody wants to be able to do that. So that is your shared goal. And you need to have a shared purpose or a shared goal. And because you have the same one, then you should be able to get on the same page. So, for example, if Susie comes into the office all the time and she's grumpy and mad, then it's worth, to Allie's point, taking time to say, I noticed that when you come in first thing in the mornings, you come in and you need to state just facts.
Yes, facts.
Facts are really important, not interpretations of facts. Facts. When you come in, you slam your book down, or you have your arms folded, or you have a very high voice, like you're loud, whatever it may be that makes you think that the person's grumpy. You need to say, when you come in and you do these things, it makes me think that you're grumpy. Is that in fact the case, or that you're mad? I don't know what the right word is, but grumpy or mad. Is that in fact the case? And the person may be like, no, I'm not grumpy. I'm just tired because I just got in and I haven't gotten myself warmed up yet. And you'd be like, oh, okay. Well, when you come into the reception office and you do those things, it makes me feel like you're grumpy. And when you're grumpy, I feel like I'm not doing my job. Or how does that behavior affect your job and what you're doing? Well, it makes me nervous. It makes me apprehensive to say anything because I feel like I'm walking on eggshells, or it makes me whatever,
Yeah.
And then you can help, if the person's willing to have a conversation, then you can say, they may say, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know I was doing that. And you can say, no worries. I'm just glad to know you're not grumpy. And there's nothing that I'm doing to make you upset.
Yeah.
And can you do me a favor in the future? Can you get all of that out of your system before you come into reception? Which is perfectly fine to ask somebody. Don't be a sounding board, right? For negative vibes.
What I do, and I love being that positive person,
Mm-hmm.
but when they start saying negative things, I like to chime in and be like, hey, but maybe they had a bad day, or maybe something happened, or maybe I always come back with something positive, and then sometimes it gets the negative people are like, yeah, you're probably right, or whatever. Even if they don't like to hear it, I chime in with something positive just to cut the negativity off.
Mm-hmm.
I think it works some part of the time. It just depends on the person you're dealing with, but just giving that, giving that person the benefit of the doubt kind of thing.
Absolutely. And I think everybody, if you operate with those assumptions that people are trying the best that they can, all the time that they can, then it keeps you from making assumptions about what's happening. So don't be a sounding board for the negativity. And by that, I mean, you have to actually say, we're not going to gossip in here in reception, because when we do that, when we gossip about our clients, someone's going to overhear us. And so we've decided that that is not something we're participating in. So even though you don't say something negative back to the person also, you're still participating by not shutting it down. So it's really important to shut it down. Don't you think?
Yeah. And it's hard to do. It's hard.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable because you think that they're going to think of you a certain type of way, but...
Now, especially as a new employee, if you have a culture, if they've talked to you about their core values, you can always use the whole new employee side of things. Hey, listen, when I was hired, they said that our core values were this, this, and this, and that we really were
loving and kind
and trying to accomplish these things with the clients. I understand the clients might be difficult, but we're not going to trash talk them in here or something, you know. I think that if you're relying on your managers to do the work, it's not going to work. You as the employee have to be willing
to step in and say something, because if not, it's going to continue to happen.
Yes. Yeah. And they should not be complaining from coworkers and gossiping about clients. So constant complaining from coworkers, I'm assuming they're probably complaining about their work or other coworkers or.
Yeah.
And so, you know, going to your manager, I think is important to say, hey, listen, I've felt this when we're in this room. I don't think it's productive to how we work each day. I'm going to address it. I just wanted to make sure you knew about it. How do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. Like maybe the manager doesn't know that that's happening. Yeah. Because a lot of times they're not doing it in front of them. So they might be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that's happening.
Right.
Because definitely coming on as a new person, you're like, oh my, if they're talking like that, then what are they saying about me? Or what are they?
Yes.
So yeah, for sure. Get to the bottom.
What is something that I can do as a CSR to support the back of house staff? What would you like to see? What do you like to see that?
Well,
yes.
So what we do is, and I don't know how your clinic operates, but the receptionists, they send all the records, like for new clients, or if like someone's going to a specialist or records need to be sent, they send that stuff. They also do all the new client forms. They sometimes, like since I'm in surgery, if there's a new client and they just need to schedule an appointment to get started before the surgery, then I'm like, hey, so-and-so is a new client. They're on this phone. That way they're getting all the address. They're getting all that. And then that frees up my time to not be on the phone for like 20 minutes, depending, getting them all set up for that appointment. So that's really helpful. Yeah, just like, or calling for records, things like that. Like they do all of that, which is super nice and helpful.
I like in the morning how they like put out that
oh yeah, like who's with what doctor. Yeah.
Because
who's
sometimes
here for the day.
Because sometimes people aren't there for the day, or they're coming in late, and so then you don't have to you don't have to wonder, you know. So like it's like a whiteboard, right, that has the doctors and the staff that are with which doctors, so then everybody knows who's working with everybody. I think that's a very helpful tool.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything else you can think of?
I'm trying to think. The whole records thing is super helpful.
I think
they do a lot. I mean,
they do a lot. And I would say when you call your people in the back and they don't answer you, don't assume it's because they don't want to talk to you or they don't want to pick up your call. So I think operating, again, with the right assumptions, and that they're not ignoring you, they're not trying to put work off. I would say,
having that mindset for sure.
Having that mindset
helped a lot.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if they have VitusVet and stuff, but they take care of all of those. Like, that helps the clinic all over. And then they put medical notes in for things that need. So then multiple people aren't like dipping into like the text messages.
Yes, that is very helpful.
They take care of all the emails, which is super nice. I guess there's a lot of questions because we don't know how they're structured.
Right. Yeah.
That's what ours do, and it's wonderful.
And I would say go to your people and ask them. You know, say go to your different areas. You know, so if you have different technicians working with different doctors, and you can say, "Tell me one thing that I could do to support you as a CSR." And then you write Dr. Smith's team, and you write that down, and then you go to Dr. Jones's team, and you say, "Hey, what's one thing as a CSR?" See if there's any patterns, and then see if you can individually support as CSRs. Can you individually support those groups?
Yeah,
you know. It might be like, listen, if anybody calls after 3 p.m., just send them straight to voicemail, because at 3 p.m. and after we're doing procedures or we're doing something that doesn't allow us to grab the phone. So then if you just go ahead and send them, you're saving yourself time and you're saving us feeling like we can't get back to you, which makes us feel bad that we can't pick up the phone because you're calling us, you know. So like just ask them, what things can we do?
Yeah, for sure.
I think that would be really helpful. And good on you for figuring out how to make your department more successful and not waiting on your manager to tell you. I think that
is really nice. Definitely being new. That's really big.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, did we get to all of it? I think we did.
I think so.
Okay. Grumpy coworkers are just so hard.
They are.
The other thing, I'm going to go back to this one other thing. There's the appreciation.
Oh, yeah.
That would be
the 5 love languages
yes,
or whatever.
the appreciation in the workplace. That might be really helpful if everybody would know how each other feels appreciated, then because a lot of the negativity can come from not feeling valued or appreciated. So engagement surveys to try and weed that out. If they're not doing that, could be a helpful tool. So like anytime you feel a problem as an employee, it's always great to go to your manager, but then go to them with also a solution. It's like, hey, I noticed that every Friday everybody's grumpy. So what if we had this? And then you offer a solution to the problem. I think that anytime you can take something off of your supervisor's plate, but yet helps the overall group, I think is huge.
Yeah, having a solution.
Having a solution is big. Not just complaining, but having a solution. Okay. Third, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, VRT. I am in the first year of vet school and currently taking parasitology and learning about heartworms. Learning about the slow kill method versus the gold standard of care and why we as vets should push the basically imidicide injection route versus slow kill with monthly preventives. I personally have always believed an alive animal is better than a surrender or euthanasia if gold standard care isn't available to a client for whatever reason. It may be cost, time, etc. Could y'all explain how as vets we can offer the best spectrum of care without making owners feel guilty for not being able to do the gold standard or making ourselves feel guilty for not doing more than the circumstances we may be given? I know this is long, but I love the pod and thank you for your time. Future Dr. Hadley and Brody. Good question.
Yeah.
Okay, so the slow kill method is using monthly prevention, but we would probably instead use ProHeart because it's going to be better in terms of the potential for like heartworm resistance. So if I was going to do a slow kill method, I would give ProHeart, which I'm giving if I'm going to treat the dog anyway.
Right.
Right. So how do you? Okay, so the question was, how can we as vets offer the best spectrum of care without making owners feel guilty? You lay out the options. So a dog comes in that's heartworm positive, or we find out they're heartworm positive. Mm-hmm. Then we say the gold standard of care when we have this particular problem is to do this. Lab work, a UA, chest films. Based on this information, then we're going to treat the patient. Tell me if I'm missing anything. Then we're going to treat the patient with imidicide on one day, 30 days later, 29 days later, whatever, 2 injections of imidicide back to back. At the same time, we've also given the patient ProHeart.
Yes.
To treat the microflaria. If the owner says, I can't do any of that, then I'm going to just use ProHeart. If the owner says, I can't even do ProHeart, then I'm going to be like, well, go find yourself some interceptor. Cheap, like the generic HeartGuard or whatever it might be, and just start giving it monthly, because at least you are killing the microflaria and preventing the infection from getting worse. Yeah. Those adult heartworms will die over time, and then we just have to keep our fingers crossed that they don't cause an emboli. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, like, I don't think the owner needs to feel bad about it. That's just what they can do.
I think that's veterinary medicine to a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, do what you can do. And
yeah. And I think there's so many areas. So I've done this so many different ways. I've had an owner be like, I can't do any of the diagnostics. I just need to be able to pay for the imidicide and the ProHeart, the 3 injections of imidicide and the ProHeart. Sure. Do you know what you're giving up by not doing lab work and by not doing the chest films? I have a dog who's not coughing, who's 3 years old, who's great exercise and doing well all over across the board. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Yeah. And then we do other things like the doxy and the pred and some things like that in the first 30 days or whatever. But a lot of the times these guys. So my point is, it might be that you just do labs and you don't do rads with the imidicide and the ProHeart and the pred and the blah, blah, blah. Or maybe you do rads and no labs. It just depends. And the patient, it depends on what the patient looks like in front of you too.
Yeah.
So I think that you can provide treatment across the board because you're right. An alive animal is better than a dead animal.
Yeah.
Or a surrendered animal.
Very true.
So I'm not going to offer everybody a slow kill method because that's not the best thing for their animal. But it's also not the worst thing for their animal, because worse than that is euthanasia or dying of heartworms.
Yeah. Or letting it get worse. Yeah.
Yes. That's just my opinion.
No, I agree.
You agree?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like with the slow kill method, obviously you're going to have to keep them calmer for longer.
Yep.
Like there's always going to be that.
The potential exists that you could cause an emboli. Yeah. As the heartworms die years down the road.
Right. Because it takes a long time,
I think it's like
right?
3 to 5 years. I can't remember
Whereas
off the top of my head.
if you do the imiticide, it's like...
You're killing them right then and there.
Yeah. But the whole process is like months.
Yes.
But, I mean, just depends what kind of dog you have. If you have like a 1-year-old, very energetic, the slow kill method may not be the best. But, I mean, if all you can do is that, then
then that's what you do.
That's what you're able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think that the way you don't make the owner feel guilty is how you talk to them in the room. So if I go in the room and I'm saying, this is how we treat that patient, and this goes back to reading body language, it goes back to understanding human behavior, and what that looks like when people are disappointed. What does it look like when they're nervous? What does it look like when they're stressed? What does it look like when they're worried? All of those things go into how you talk to the owner when you're inside the exam room. And so if the owner is like, I just can't do anything, then it's not like
poo-poo on you.
Right. Like your facial expressions, how you support the owner. It's like, what you say is, I completely understand. It's a lot.
Yeah, support was like the biggest word. I was like supporting them, not making them feel guilty.
Yeah. And you're like, I get it. And the last thing we want you to do is to put I'm a big believer of this. This may be controversial. I don't know. No one should put their family into a terrible position because they're paying for a pet. Like financially, you should not be able to buy groceries. You shouldn't be able to pay your rent. Like none of that should happen because you decide to treat your pet. And I'm not going to make you feel bad about that. In fact, I'm going to tell you not to do that.
Right.
And so I just don't think that that's okay, for you to put that on yourself, that stress of that on yourself, because, and so we're here to support you through those decisions and help you allocate funds where you need them.
I think that's a good answer.
Okay.
All right. Hi, I was just wondering what your opinions are on cross-training. I started out in the kennel before moving to reception and have since become office manager, while also teaching here and there. My lead tech and I brought up cross-training to our practice manager, and she and our doctors were all for it. However, we have had employees throw a fit and even threaten to quit over it. They're always pulling me to help if they're short-staffed in other areas because I'm the only 2 or 3 that are cross-trained, and it just feels like a slap in the face when they don't want to return the favor and even try to learn any of the responsibilities of us receptionists. I feel like being cross-trained helps not only in giving each other an idea of what different areas deal with from the day-to-day, but I'd give other areas more of a chance to bond with clients and get to know some of them outside of the exam room when they're taking their pets in and out or helping the doctors. Sorry for the long message, just something that's been on my mind to ask about for a little while now. Gabby A., tired CSR from Thomasville, Georgia.
I don't blame you, Gabby.
Yes.
Oh, wow. They're throwing a fit. That's not okay.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe in cross-training.
Me too, man.
It shows such appreciation.
Yes, it does.
For someone else's job.
So much. And I think it should be like like it should happen all the time, because sometimes you forget when you're a tech for a while, you forget what it's like to be in reception. And then you go in there and you're like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
They deal with a lot.
They deal with a lot. And I'm not going to be mad now when I call back to them.
Because a lot of the thing, it's like they just answer the phone. Like, how hard can it be? Well, let me tell you, Nancy. But they're like being a greeter, like, the misconception, they just open the door. How hard can it be? Come on, it's not that big of a deal. But then you go up there and you're like, there's so many things, because you're just trying to be so accommodating. But yes, you understand that position a lot more. Also, it just gives you more training.
Yes, and it makes you more valuable. The more skills you have, the more valuable you are to the team. The more valuable you are to the team, the more likely you are to get a raise.
Yeah.
The more likely you are to stick around.
Yeah,
the more
stick
likely
around.
you are to get the hours when you need to cut hours because maybe, I don't know, it's not very busy. They're going to keep the person that can do everything.
Do everything. Yeah.
You know, during that day, they're going to send home somebody else who, you know, that's what we did.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, those people are extremely valuable. The Kayla Kennemans that you're like, the Cindy Mathers that you're like, oh, just go get one of these guys. They know what they're doing.
Yes.
Becca, like all these people that know how to do multiple things, they're lifesavers.
Yeah, you want to keep those people.
Yes.
So good job, Gabby.
Yes, absolutely.
And you should keep pushing.
Yeah.
Because those people, they may be grumpy about it now, but
yeah,
they're going to earn respect and maybe.
And the people that are leading those people need to tell them just to get over it.
Yeah.
You're going to go help in reception for 2 hours. And, you know, if that's, and here's why you need to explain the why. Like their manager needs to explain the why behind doing it and how it's related to their core values. And if they're not on the bus, then
I guess they're not bought into the mission. So
off the bus you go.
The bus analogy that is held in there.
It is in there. It ain't going nowhere. So yes, you are absolutely right. Cross training absolutely helps.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. We are big believers. Hello, all. First off, I'd just like to say your podcast has been such a light for me recently. I have been feeling a bit lost within vet med, and you guys are helping me keep my passion alive. I am currently an animal science undergrad student. I started college as a fashion student. I bet you're well dressed in the Okay. But always felt like I was missing something. I made the switch to vet med and was so excited, but quickly realized how far behind my peers I am and how much work I have to do to get to vet school. It's been very overwhelming, and I'm thinking about tech school. I am currently in reception at a GP clinic. My question to you guys is, why did you pick to be a DVM rather than an LVT and vice versa? Additionally, what is one thing you wish you had within the other profession? P.S. My boyfriend lives in Carmel, and I visit him often, so I hope to bring my dog in for an established care visit at some point. She's a 2-year-old female spayed English Springer Spaniel with severe hip dysplasia. That is probably the only thing that's slowing her down. Is her? Yeah. They're cray-cray.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they're a lot of fun. I mean, they're just like,
yes.
Woo, you know?
Yes.
So I don't think it would be the worst idea to have her established when we visit. You all are the best. Ketty. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. When you come into the clinic, you make sure you look up Courtney or APC or Duckwall.
Yeah.
You know, I might be there. Who knows? If I'm doing relief work.
Yeah,
I might be in. So definitely come in and check us out. Okay, so why did you decide you wanted to be in an RVT instead of a DVM?
All right, I'll be honest. The schooling.
Okay.
The debt that comes with the schooling.
Okay.
And then medically, I didn't want to be responsible. I like surgery, but I don't want to do it. So
you didn't want to be like where the buck stops with you.
Right.
Like where you're like, you had to decide, am I going to do this? Yeah. You still do that though.
I know. I was thinking that. Like I still am responsible for a lot, but I didn't want to be like doctor responsible. If that makes sense. I'm responsible for a lot. I have lives in my hands.
You do. I mean, you do. And I think that's what's so interesting is that you could easily have been a veterinarian. Like, you're smart enough. You're talented enough. You could have easily done
I forget a lot of things, and I have to set alarms for a lot of things. I don't think that would go well. But also, like, I do like problem solving, but not like to a doctor problem solve.
Okay. Fair enough.
Internal med and stuff.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, and maybe like just the larger scope of it, right? Like, like there's like so much on the menu, you know what I mean? Whereas maybe it's like the scope of responsibilities. Yes, you're very responsible for all these like delicate situations, but maybe the scope is more narrow. I don't know.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah, I would say that's the most common reason most RVTs say as the reason why they didn't become a veterinarian or why they're a technician instead of a veterinarian. You know, I did not even, I'm going to be brutally honest, okay? Like, I didn't even know the job of technician existed because I wasn't going to be a small animal veterinarian. So I didn't know anything about veterinary medicine, period. Like nothing. I didn't know how a clinic worked. I know nothing about veterinary medicine.
That was about me when I started.
So
I didn't work nowhere.
You know, I didn't go to school to be a veterinarian, a small animal veterinarian. I went to school to go, you know, work on marine mammal life, like in research. So it wasn't, I just didn't even know. Like it wasn't even a thing. I think that, and then once you got into vet school and then it evolved into what it is now, like as far as becoming a small animal veterinarian. It was like, well, you're in vet school. They must have thought you could do it. So I'll just go this direction. You know what I mean? So it wasn't a worry about not being able to do the job. So what do you think are some other reasons why people might be a doctor instead of a technician or a technician instead of a doctor? What do you think? Or some
I
other...
definitely think schooling plays a role.
Yes, and debt. You're right.
Significant, debt are probably the biggest.
Where you are in your life. Like, what if you're 50, like my age, and you're like...
True.
I'm older than 50, but yes. I just use that as a round off number.
True. Also, I think family, I mean, with it being a lot of females, like, I would hate to go to school for almost 10 years and then want to start a family and not want to work. So I guess it kind of depends on what you're wanting for your family. Like...
Yeah.
Because technician's a little bit more flexible, but like once you're I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you do put on all that work and then you don't use your degree, it's a little bit different than if you went to school for culinary. I don't know.
No,
I don't want to put any shade on any degrees.
No, you are absolutely right. I think that
the investment you put into it
and the guilt associated with that investment, right? If you go to, and I only say this because it entered my head when I had Harrison, and I thought, how do I not go back? I just spent all this time in school and this money, and it wasn't even that much money back then. But like, you did all of this, and now you want to stay home?
Yeah.
What? Like,
that's hard.
Like, even saying it out loud was like, I don't even think I can say this out loud. Right. So like, I think that pressure for sure is something that people should think about. And just because you might be somebody who wants to stay home and have a family, and that's what you want your job to be, that's okay.
Right.
Some people are called to do that.
But
I don't think
it now, so you don't go and make that investment.
Yes. Unless you're just like horribly wealthy, and then you can just go do what you want. We had a person in our vet school class who said the only reason she went to vet school was because she wanted to take care of her own animals.
I mean, there's that.
Horses. She had some horses and stuff, and
that's a lot.
I was like, this is a lot of money to just like go take care of your own animals. But anyway, I
mean, teach their own. But I do feel that guilt though, like doing that dog training stuff that I did. And now I'm not really doing a ton of like clientele, if you will.
Yeah.
I still feel a little guilty for that, but honestly, I guess I kind of moved past it because it still helps with vet med.
Other stuff, yeah.
But,
yeah, so I think that's something that, needs to be considered. I think if you want to do surgery, if you want to diagnose something, if you want to be the person who solves the riddle, right?
Yeah.
Solves the problem, then you want to be a veterinarian. Right? I mean, I would think that would be, if that's something of interest to you, for sure.
Or if you enjoy doing surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how one finds out if they enjoy that, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people think they want to do surgery. Yeah, dissections. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I guess if that intrigues you.
Or it didn't bother you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of veterinary students think they want to do surgery, and then they get into the real life and they start doing them. And they're like, never mind.
Everything that comes with surgery.
Yeah.
But some people say that they like surgery because it's instant gratification, whereas internal med, like when you're fixing a problem, sometimes it's trial and error. It's not as fast. But if a dog comes in with a broken tail and you're amputating, wham, bam.
You're fixed.
They're fixed.
You know the problem.
They're saved.
Yes. Okay. All right. Last one. Here we go. Oh, no. It's not the last one. Okay. You want to do it? The next one?
Oh, yeah. Hi, my name is Scott Brown. I'm a 13-year-old from North Carolina.
What? When I read that, I was like, he's got to be our youngest listener. Hello, Scout. Well, I'm assuming.
So
I don't know if it's. I shouldn't say. It could be a boy or a girl. So, Scout, I'm sorry.
Scout, yeah.
You know.
But, I didn't even know what podcasts were when I was 13.
Exactly. Exactly.
So good for you.
Oh my goodness.
I know I'm still a bit young to be thinking about college, but I would like to become a zoo veterinarian, and I'd love your advice on how to prepare in high school. What classes should I take? What extracurriculars would be helpful? And are there any specific organizations I should get involved with? Also, if you have any tips on specializing in zoo medicine later on, that would be amazing. I absolutely love your podcast. Thanks so much for all the great content, Scout.
That is so cute.
Or Scott. I don't know. That is cute. I can't believe he's 13. I mean, good for you for thinking about college.
I know, right? So high school, what things would you tell someone to think about in high school?
I wrote down volunteer at the zoo.
Yes.
I don't know where you're from, but Indy Zoo does have a volunteer program. Mm-hmm. I know it can be hard to get into, and I don't know how old you have to be, but that would be something I would scout out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I know, again, Indy Zoo, They do like backstage, like
tours
and
and
stuff.
stuff.
So maybe you want to look into that to see,
Yeah.
like if it's something you truly want to do.
And there's like a local, usually depending if you're near a big city, there are local exotic rescues.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Limpert works with them.
So get
there's
involved in something like that.
get involved in something like that. And it's not going to be anything exciting. It's going to be cleaning cages and husbandry work, right? Which teaches
That's
you a lot.
though.
Yeah, the more you see normal, the better you're going to be at diagnosing abnormal. So that's why it's important to spend time in these environments, because whether you know it or not, you're digesting normal all the time. And so then when you see abnormal, it's like, that doesn't look right, and so then it's easy to pick out. And so that's why it's so important to spend time in those environments. I even think even though you're going to do zoo medicine, I would be very like wide about what you're exposing yourself to. So even like a humane society with dogs and cats.
Yeah, humane society would be good.
Right? Where again, you're just doing husbandry work. You're learning animal behavior, things like that.
That's so important. Animal behavior is so important. But definitely the exotic thing would be good.
Yeah.
So like learn, but I don't know zoo animal. I think like tigers and bears and things like that. So.
And then also in your high school curriculum, they're probably going to have like zoology, biology.
Career center sometimes.
Yeah.
But definitely biology is.
Chemistry you probably should take for sure. Yeah.
AP
Any
classes.
kind of, if, now high schools are so like, they've got so many different options of things that you can learn, like even any kind of like logical reasoning, like, so, deductive reasoning, anything that teaches you how, like, to think or decide or strategize, like all those things are helpful in terms of teaching your brain how to think a certain way. And then specific organizations, I don't know how old you have to be to join, like, local, like, groups that do things, like whether it be, stuff through the zoo, like you mentioned, or the like different I'm trying to think of like the groups that teach like like agility training, or like there's like all these different organizations that there's probably resources on the web in your community that you could be like, oh, okay, there's these 10 organizations that do animal basic work, whether it be behavior or training or some kind of rescue work or whatever. You'll be able to find something. Or through the state agency, the State Veterinary Medical Association of whatever
or, like,
state.
CEs, like, I know that he's not a tech yet, but like some pages, like that girl, she has a ton of stuff, like videos, free videos.
Yeah.
On like different things. I don't know if she goes into zoo stuff, but there's some exotic stuff on there.
What do you think about 4-H?
I think that'd be good. I think, isn't that good on a resume?
You're right. Yeah.
Shows consistency. It's kind of like an extracurricular.
Yeah. And I think extracurricular activities are really important because they teach you time management. They teach you, if you can do things that where you have to work in a group, it teaches you how to work on a team. And extracurriculars absolutely do help in terms of your growth as a person, but then also they are a way that people can connect with you. So if you were in part of a horseback riding therapy group, that where you help take care of the horses for therapy, for people, that might be a reason somebody interviews you, because they're like, oh my gosh, I did that when I was a kid, and so you form connections by similarities. And so I think the extracurricular activities are a huge help.
Yeah. And one other thing, studying abroad.
Yeah.
Like, I know one of the girls went to Peru, so she got to work with a ton of exotic, like monkeys and tiger, like just a ton of things. So if you have the opportunity to do that, like right out of high school or like through a summer program,
do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Let us know if that helps. Okay. Am I the next one? Okay, sorry. My name is Katie, and I've recently started my clinical portion veterinary assistant certification diploma through Penn Foster. I live in a state where it is not required to be licensed as a tech or assistant, West Virginia. What are y'all's thoughts on the difference in certification requirements in varying states? And do y'all think it affects the overall care? I know that most learn better hands-on, so I just wondered y'all's opinion on being certified as an assistant/technician. From Katie. Okay, what's your thought?
Okay, the first question.
the difference in certification requirements in varying states is absolutely asinine. That's what I think about it. Well, it is. Why is that? It's so stupid.
Like, why it's different per state?
Yes. Like, you're a DVM. You have to take state boards as a veterinarian, right? Okay, fine.
And it's tech.
Right. But I'm a DVM in the whole country. So once I graduate, I'm a DVM no matter where I go and live, as long as I can pass their state boards.
Right.
I don't understand why they don't do that for technicians. Why do we have all this varying licensure per state or no licensure, no title protection in some states? Why can't the technician organization get it together and get some national approval thing? You don't have all the answers, I know, but
I know. I'm like, I'm stunned.
I just don't know. So that's why I think it's really hard. And I also understand, like, I get that the quality of veterinary medicine has gone up, right? And so now medicine itself is just a higher level of medicine and care. But if you have a rural veterinarian that lives out in the middle of nowhere, right, and taking care of a bunch of ranches and all kinds of stuff, right, how is he supposed to find a registered technician? So he should be able to hire somebody, and he probably does, hire a technician that he trains on the job. And that person probably does a fantastic job.
I was going to say, sometimes those are the best ones.
So, like, I don't know. I wish that there was, like, some way we could marry the two, or it's like, okay, if you have 5 years of, like, hands-on learning, you could take something, or you could, I don't know, like, take this many classes then and then becomes, I don't know. There's got to be something.
Surely.
Like, I get why, because you're a licensed technician. Yeah. So when people aren't licensed, how does that make you feel?
I don't really care. Sometimes I learn from them.
Yeah.
Sometimes they've been places I've never been, or other clinics, and they've learned things, and they have new skills, and
yeah,
they have stuff to offer. I will say, like, some states, depending, the pay is different.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how long you've been an assistant or how much you've learned on the job, your pay is different than being registered.
Yeah.
So that would be one thing to keep in the back of your mind. I don't think it's bad to learn off the job. I mean, sometimes that's better.
Right.
A lot of us are hands-on learners anyway, so.
Oh, I would say, yeah, a ton of people are that way.
I would say 90%.
Yeah.
In vet med.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is a complicated topic. I think that it's really hard. And I think there's so much that goes into it, then you start talking about pay and.
He's rolling around.
He's so cute. He's got an itch. Are you scratching your itch?
Blade's rolling around on the floor for no reason.
Oh my gosh, he's super happy. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think that there's nothing right now we can do about the difference in requirements. I don't know if it affects overall care. I would say that depending on the level of medicine that is being practiced, it probably does.
In the education, I guess, like if you have someone that has zero knowledge,
yes,
and is trying to.
I think it's really hard to fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you can't do the tasks. They could absolutely do the tasks. I think that the knowledge that fills in the gaps of the tasks is what's missing.
Yeah, the why.
The why. Yeah.
Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why do I connect the catheter this way? Or why am I taking
They know to do that, but they don't.
The why.
Yeah. I think that's really what ends up missing. And maybe in some scenarios, again, because of the level of care, depending upon where someone is in the country or what they're tasked with doing, it may not matter. But I'd say the majority of the time it probably does.
But if she's talking about, like, just... Because she says, do you think it affects the overall care? Well, it depends. Is it a person that's been hands-on learning for 5 years or a tech of 5 years? I don't know that there's going to be too much of a difference, because by then you probably have learned everything that you need to know, or...
Yeah.
No more.
No more, yeah.
But it'd be different if someone's just starting out.
Oh, I think that's where the discrepancy is, for sure. I mean, absolutely. And I think Penn Foster, we've had a lot of luck with Penn Foster. I mean, as far as
a lot, yeah.
People that, like Devin, right, went through Penn Foster, she was very committed.
She was a rock star, yeah. She had her mindset.
Again,
organization,
very committed, knew what she was doing, and did not falter. That was the objective. Did not back down, and she got through in a reasonable period of time.
She was so fast.
Like 2 years?
Yeah, something crazy.
Something like that. Or
I
maybe
mean,
it was slightly less than that. But, and then passed her VT&E and yeah.
That was cool. Yeah, she did great.
So, yeah, I think hopefully the technician organizations are working on that. I would continue to pursue your diploma. I think that it's worth it. And I think that you can work in some facilities where they will pay for you because Devin got it all paid for
pen posture. Yeah.
Which then it's so worth it.
Yeah. And I think it's worth it because sometimes I think a lot of techs have the guilt of not having that degree or that diploma or whatever, like that associates or bachelor's.
Yeah.
And I know technicians that have been hands-on learning for 10 plus years and are now going back to school because they just want that
certificate.
They want that certificate.
Yeah.
Just for their own peace of mind. But
Yeah, absolutely. So I would encourage you to continue to do it. I think that it only helps you. It certainly isn't going to be a detriment.
Get that background information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hands-on learning is definitely great, but that classroom learning
if you can
is
do it,
important.
do it.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
If you have the means. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Veterinary Roundtable. Remember to send in those questions and leave us a review if you have enjoyed this episode or a previous one. And we'll see you next week for another episode of the Veterinary Roundtable.
Right. Thanks. Bye.
Woo!